enjoy intentional getting to know people. So you may not have a full, long, drawn out necessarily, icebreaker or things like that, but as long as you are finding ways to get to know people in your own way, and if you need some ideas or things like that, you can let us know, but it's important that you take the time to get to know people. So if we can go to the next slide, Elder Hicks, if you can click the next one. So we talked about today's agenda. Well, again, it's going to be for the three things about what a team leader is and what a team leader does. And so as we go to the next piece, that is going to also emphasize what it is. Elder Hicks, can you put the next slide for me? So can somebody tell me why they're putting up, what's one thing that you can say about somebody else that you did not know about them? Brother Torian, who did you know about? What did you find out about somebody that you didn't know before? Ah, they didn't know you were related. Okay, okay, okay. Anybody else? You said he's a smart guy. uh, All right, so we're going to go back. Thank you. We're going to stop right here. So going back to what is a team leader, you can go back to that one slide there for me, please. All right, so the goal of our meeting today, and we appreciate you all for your time today because this is important as we're taking the time to establish the foundation of what we're doing moving forward. So for here at GWM, what is a team leader and the purpose of what you guys are going to be doing in your role? And so one of the things we want to talk about is, of course, oversees a department. So as a team leader, there are the different areas of the church that are needed for us to function successfully, efficiently, and to do things in excellence. And so a lot of you have already have identified through Pastor those areas are. We know we have excuse me, have our sound, as you know, sound team, our videography team. We know we have our media relations team. We have our ushers, our greeters. We have the music ministry. We have the care. It's a lot of different areas, right? And so as you guys know, your different places you are identified with, your goal is to, number one, to know what are the expectations for in that area and in that role. So the first one we talked about is, of course, to build a rapport for those who are going to be under you. So if I'm over a team, just getting to know them and making sure I know who their names are, make sure you get their numbers, make sure you are building that team and knowing who's working with you and who you're willing to work with. Yes, the next thing, of course, is going to be making sure that you meet with them at least bi-weekly for now. We will be meeting with you all to ensure that we are following through. So, of course, as Pastor knows, we have the different kind of the roles that we're doing. So as we're working with you all will continue to work with us so we can make sure we meet to know that things are going properly. Then, of course, to ensure that your team completes all the tasks for the functioning of the church and worship services. So as you know, when we came in today, team leads for Brother Keith, and who was it? I know I talked to Brother Tony, but Brother Keith was here today opening up the church. So one of the things we have now in support of us as myself and Pastor is for the longest time, it was just us, right? Until we got some more help. And so, when things are happening, everybody has a role to play. So Brother Keith opened up the church for us. I was able to come right in. I asked him to set up the tables. Those things were done ahead of time. But then also, too, we had to turn on what? The lights, the sound. We have to make sure all those things are done. And so with us doing that, every person has a part to play to make sure everything is done effectively. This is especially on Sundays as well as on Thursdays. As you know, Thursdays are not just the spoken word, but we're now shifting it to as an actual service. So all those different pieces play a part in you guys helping to ensure that we're doing things effectively. And then especially when as you know, Pastor wants to make sure things are done in excellence. So when we start at 10, we got to be here 9:45, right? If we start church service at 11 a.m., what time should we be here? I can't hear you. What time? We got different times. If service starts at 11 and I'm a team leader, I have to be here at 10:30 or earlier, right? No later than 10:45 because the service starts at what? 11. I can't get here at 11 and expect everything to flow and us be online and be on time, and then I'm running up to try to sing. It's not going to work, right? So everything, we want to do things in excellence, and we want to make sure we're doing things efficiently. So we're going to talk about 3 things that's going to help you to be an effective team leader. And as you're being a team leader, we want to make sure that all those things are going to be a part of that. And we can click to the next slide. Not sure why it's not working. All right. So one of the things, of course, and you guys working with, and again, you'll be over supporting as people are coming with you as volunteers. So if I'm working with a sound engineer, right? If I'm working as a sound engineer, I'm gonna have a couple people working with me. So what are some things that I need to do to make sure that I got somebody that's working with me and working effectively for my team? There's three things we're gonna highlight today, which is again communication. The second thing we're gonna talk about, of course, is conflict resolution, and the last thing we're gonna talk about is accountability. At this time, we're gonna have Dr. Martin to come up to talk about communication.
Thank you. All right. So we all know, all of you either work in a capacity of leadership already or just as being an adult, coming through life itself. There are so many different levels of communication that we take on. When we're dealing with children, we try to talk on their level. They even tell you with the whole parenting coaching that, you have to get on their level and talk to them. But it's the same thing, right? When you're talking to adults, when I was writing my dissertation, my coach told me that I needed to write my dissertation as if I was presenting to fifth graders, which didn't make sense because I'm in a graduate learning program. But that was because your communication style has to be such that if you have a mixed audience, such as what we have here this morning, everybody needs to be able to grasp and understand what you're saying, and not all people may be able to. A lot of times you have to make sure that when you're communicating that not only are you articulating, but you have to also gauge that what it is you're articulating is also being understood, right? If you're in a one-on-one environment, like what some of us who may be managers have to do with those that we lead, it might be easy because you can ask prompting questions like, does that make sense? Or did I say that right? Or, you can see by their head why they're nodding, like Lanisha's doing right now. She's nodding, Keith is nodding, right? But in an environment like this, you can't go to every single person and be like, did you get it? Did you understand it? So you try to make the communication on a level that at least you believe that based on the audience that you're presenting to can understand and articulate what you're saying. So it's always good to start with understanding who your audience is. Can you go to the next slide? So this is what we're going to talk about. What makes for great communication as it relates to specifically being a leader? And the top three things that I thought that in my experience as being a leader, I've been in management now for about 30 years. I feel like these are the four things that I've always come out knowing, enjoying, and also learning in my career path. Not just being in a corporate environment, but also as an adjunct professor, like I said, working with children. The first thing is understanding. And a lot of times when we're understanding, it's levels of understanding. So you're seeking to understand. A lot of times when we're listening or we're communicating, the first thing we're resulting to is what we want to say as a response, especially if it's high tension, if it's a combative or hostile situation that you're trying to deal with. The first thing you're doing is you're trying to figure out how to respond. Well, active listening involves being able to listen without determining in your head what your response is, because actively listening means that you're actually seeking to understand what that person is saying to you. And a lot of times it's hard to do that as a leader, because with me, I have 15 people that report to me. And what I have to do is I have to be able to understand every single person's personality type, skill sets, and in each person that comes to me, there's a different scenario. It could be the same situation, but that individual creates a different scenario. So I have to be able to actively listen to them and seek to understand what it is that they're bringing to me so that I can respond to them in a way that helps them specifically. And that's what it takes, especially when you're managing a group of people. You have to be able to empathize, right? And a lot of times what I found myself doing, this is new and learning for me as well, is when you're not empathetic, that doesn't put you in a position. It's almost like putting yourself in their shoes. Like, how would you want, we all have managers, right? I have a director that I report to. So if I'm talking to my director about something, I want her to be empathetic towards what I'm saying. I don't want her to automatically go into leader mode, right? It's just like being a husband, right? Sometimes your wife will come to you and, and share things with you, and you're like, oh my God, I don't want to hear about this work stuff. You know what I mean? But you got to be empathetic to that, right? Same thing with children, or anybody that you're working with. So always seek to understand and always be empathetic to the person that's speaking to you. Because it does take a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage for someone to come to you, especially if it's something that's contentious, right? It takes a lot of courage for someone to come and say something to you. I have, well, I better not say too much because this is being recorded, but I had a situation at work where someone was really trying to stifle me. They ain't know who I serve, but anyway, we ain't gonna go there. But what I tried to do is I tried to be empathetic. First, I prayed for that person, literally, on the 7 o'clock prayer call, calling that person's name on the prayer line. The second thing I did was I tried to apply empathy because I felt like that there was something about that person, about them, not me, because you can't make it personal. Something about that person that gives them a sense of feeling where they want to stifle or bring someone down. So what I learned, and because I literally had started doing coaching sessions with this person, they didn't know that's what I was doing, but that's what I was doing. And I found out that they were very insecure. Their home life created a very insecure complex with them. So now, I'm not saying I have the best relationship with that person, but I'm very empathetic. So when they dealing with me, I don't try to, I used to like pop back at them and be like, wait, what? Now it's like, okay, all right, well, let me get back to you. Sometimes you have to do that too, right? You have to step out of the situation so that you can come back. Because a leader always has to maintain a level of control when communicating. Another thing is creating psychological safety, inclusion and belonging, having those sweaty palms conversations, and challenging with care. So you want to create and cultivate an environment that allows yourself to be approachable. When, they always say it's lonely at the top. I realize that the further I go up on the corporate ladder, the more challenging dealing with people becomes. Because I have to deal with, and this is no disrespect, but I have to deal with men sometimes who don't really value the knowledge and the skill sets that I bring into the corporate spectrum. I have to deal with people who are not my peers, and sometimes they can make me feel devaluing. But what you have to do is when creating psychological safety, the concept behind that is allowing that person to have such a confidence in you, a confidence and a trust in you that they can come to you and share anything with you. Number one, it's going to be held in confidence, and number two, you're not going to be judgmental towards them, right, and making them feel devalued. I recall going to my VP and having a conversation about a situation that I was having, and they pretty much turned that situation back on me. And at first, you get into your woe is me, kind of mentality, but what I did was, I was like, okay, I'm gonna turn it back. I'm gonna take it. And I internalized it in a way that it allowed me to stretch and grow myself. And that's what we have to do in some of those situations. When you're creating psychological safety, you're creating team members, even within yourself and your different scenarios, you're creating team members that have the mindsets and the abilities to be able to come to you and talk to you with confidence and also know that they won't feel judged, right? And then when you talk about inclusion and belonging, there's no respect of person when we think about kingdom, right? But sometimes, we all know, most all of us in here are African American, and sometimes, I know I've had experiences being in a corporate environment that, my skill sets and my academic successes sometimes can be a threat because I'm a black woman, and I'm a young black woman. So what I found is that I've not always been included, even though I qualified. So I may have been invited to the event, but I wasn't always welcome to eat. You see what I'm saying? The invitation was for the look, so they could look a certain way. You know what I mean? So always make people feel like they're a part. Even if they, I've had people come to me, in other areas of the business and want to understand what we do. I've always made them feel invited. I'm mentoring a young girl now that's in our supply chain facilities way in Kentucky. Had nothing to do with what I do, but she wanted to know about what we did. So I'm mentoring her so that she has a full understanding from a finance and accounting side of how we run our business, right? But always welcome people, make people feel like you're approachable and that they can, approach you. And then we talked a little bit about those sweaty palms conversations. Like, you know, we all get them. Like, I know even being a leader, it's still sometimes difficult to have those conversations. But I think that those conversations also help to develop people, and it also helps to develop you as a leader. Because you have to be in a place where you can have conversations like that at an elevated level. Everything, even though it's contentious, doesn't mean that it has to be bad or it has to be wrong, right? And then lastly, you know, challenging with care. You know, I remember when I first got into management, you know, I know I'm hyper all the time. Like, this is me all day, every day. That's why them kids be around me. Joanna tell you, when them kids come, they be like, ah, because that's how I be all day. But anyway, I have a lot of energy, and I'm very ambitious. You know, if I see a goal, I'm getting it. I'm never gonna, you know, see something in front of me and not feel like I can't accomplish it. Because if I see it, that means I can get it, right? It's just like, if you see it, you can believe it. If you believe it, you can do it. So when I first got into management, I had these team members that were working with me. I'm very young when I first got my management position, very young, all older than me, seniors to me, maybe 15, 20 years older than me. And they filed a grievance against me at HR because they told me I was dragging them. I was implementing change, building processes, like I was doing it. I was like, oh, I'm going for this. I'm about to be the big time boss. And my team did not like me at all. They liked me as a person, but not as a manager, because I did not incorporate and give them part of that, take them to that change process. I basically implemented the change, and I was like, do it. Not, hey, guys, this is what I want to do. What do y'all think about this? How can we make this happen? That is how you have to lead the team. You can't drag people into what you want to do. You have to bring them into what you want to do, because here's the thing that I had to remember. I wasn't doing the work. They were, right? I had an oversight of what needed to happen, but I was not the one that was accountable for the day-to-day, okay? All right, adaptability. Adapting to the need at hand to nurture and sustain effective outcomes consistently. That is very important. I think that when we get challenged as leaders, like right now we're going through this situation at work, like it's off the chain. Like, my mind is just blown right now. And it's befuddling sometimes, because you have a situation come to you and you're like, wait, what? And your mind just be gone, right? You get stuck, like you in a time warp. But what you have to remember is that you have to be able to adapt to every situation. When you're a leader, that's why we did that Picha Kucha, because you got to be able to think on your feet. As soon as something come to you, you got to be ready for it. You know what I mean? And you got to be ready for it in a way that it helps to continue to create efficiencies, business continuity, and also it continues to move you forward, right? Challenges and difficulties as a leader should not set you back. It should take you forward. It should propel you. Every time you get a challenge, step to it. Step to it. That's what leaders do. We have to keep moving forward, all right? And being adaptable creates that consistency. Emotional and stress control. Emotional control and stress management are necessary for a harmonious culture and team dynamic. Like I said, you're gonna be working with so many different people, so many different personalities. You know, I lead a group of 15, but only 6 of those people report to me, because I have 2 managers that report into me. What I do is I do skip levels with those members of my team that don't actually report directly into me, so that I can understand too what their experiences are, right? Because I need to know if that manager is out of pocket for some reason. I need to be able to know and appreciate and value that individual. So if they come to me, you know, and I know that, you know, let's say for instance, you know, Joanne, you report to that other manager and you come to me and you have an issue, and I'd be like, da-da-da-da-da-da. But that's not how you like to get feedback, right? Go do this, this, this. You know, you have to learn every single person that's reporting into you, understand them, and be able to respond to them in a way that doesn't create any additional stresses, and making sure that you're always maintaining control, all right? Any questions about that slide? All right, next slide, please, thank you. Oh, they didn't come up. Tools of the trade, they didn't come up? You don't, go back to tools of, okay, they didn't come up. All right, do you see them? Each one, excuse us. All right, let me see what they look like. I don't have them in my mind. Can you pull up the slide over here? Okay, yeah, thank you. Excuse us for just 1 second. Having some little technical difficulties. That's okay, we leaders though, we gonna work this out. Yeah, we gotta pivot, that's right, that's right. We just go to something else, that's all. All right, yeah, take a little quick little drink break. All right. It's not on there? Oh, sugar beans. That is crazy. All right, we gon' flow with it though. All right, so let's do it this way. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So I want to hear from you all, and I'm gonna talk about a topic. If you thought about some tools that you need in order to be an effective leader, just give me a word or a topic, and I'm gonna speak to it for a couple of minutes. Someone, anybody, just raise your hand. Okay, Minister Donald. Yeah. Okay. So, tools of the trade. One thing Minister Donald wants me to speak about is being in a position of leadership, but also being in a position of learning. So you are both the teacher and the student. And that's really what leadership is, because you're growing with every challenge that your team member brings to you. You're learning as a leader to how to solve, resolve, root cause, do root analysis for that challenge. So yes, you always have to put yourself in a position. I think sometimes us as leaders, even as parents, anytime you have a level of hierarchy over an individual, you always put yourself, we can sometimes put ourselves in a position where we don't think about the element of being a student or being a learner. But that's the best position for you to be in, right? It's to be in a position where you can also lead and learn, right? So that's a good question, Minister Donna. Yeah, we should always, did I answer your question? Yeah. Anybody else? Yes. Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's what we call seek to understanding, what we were talking about earlier, right? You have to, it's gonna be so many different people with so many different emotions, and everybody brings their whole self to work, right? And that means they bring their problems from home, everything come to work with them. So yeah, that's a good point. You do have to be in a position where you have to be able to interpret the situation. We have this thing called SBI, situation, behavior, impact. What was the situation? What was the behavior, my behavior and the other person or person's behavior, and then what was the impact? What was the impact? What was the experience? What was the impact for them, and what was the impact for me? So yeah, that's a good question. Anybody else? Yes, Elder Hicks. Mm. Yeah. 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 So that's later on in the in the training process. Sister Lanisha has that conflict resolution, but I'll just speak to it on a high level. I think you always have to, as a leader, be able to diffuse it, no matter what it is. And sometimes diffusing it is letting them be expressive, and always know that you don't take it personal, because it's not about you. It's something that they're dealing with, like that situation I told you about that person at work. When I saw when God showed me really what was going on, that it wasn't me, because I personalized it at first, and I was like, wait, I'm cool. Like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm getting high reviews. I'm getting, promotions. Like, I know it can't be me, right? At least I didn't think it was. And now you have to self-assess too, right? That's a good thing. That's a good tool of the trade. You have to be able to self-assess. That's probably what you were talking about too, Minister Donald, is that you have to put yourself in a position of a learner. You have to be able to self-assess. That's something that I do. If you can't look at yourself and understand how you contribute or what you contribute to that situation, that could probably stifle you from being an effective leader. Brother Antonio.
I guess for me, how do you handle it? It could still go along the lines if you have someone that don't. It's not that they don't respect you as a leader. They know you as a leader, but they want your leadership role.
They want your position?
They want your position.
Okay. Yeah. So Brother Antonio's question is, how do you manage someone who reports into you, but really thinks that they should be the boss of you, right? Huh? What you say? Or think they can do it better, right? So basically, what I would do, honestly, Brother Antonio, I would probably use that person to my advantage, and I will let that person, if they want to be a leader and they feel like they can be a leader, I would say, hey, you know what? I need you to partner with me so that we can drive this team. I know that we can go to the next level. I want you to show me how you think we can do that. Use them to your advantage. If they want to go out there and lead and do this and do that, just ride that coattail. You'll still be guiding and directing because you'll be in a position of authority, right? You'll be in the decision maker. So you're saying, oh, you know what? I like that, but maybe we can tweak it this way. So never allow them to undermine you, but put yourself in a situation like almost what Minister Donald was saying, that you're learning, but you're also leading, right? Does that answer your question?
No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Joanne?
How to deal with people that can't take constructive criticism or just take advice.
Oh, yeah, that's good. I think Lanisha probably going to touch on that a little bit too. But again, it's, first of all, seeking to understand and then knowing the person that you're dealing with, like knowing that personality type, right? Because I have some individuals that report into me who can't take or can't handle direct feedback. And I'm very direct. Like, I'm silly with y'all and I'm cool, but when I'm in work, I don't play with my money. Like, I get real. You know what I mean? So some people can't take that. You know, like I was telling you before, there are people that, you know, men who are, when you think about titles and levels of hierarchy, they sit up under me, you know, in the organization. They don't report it to me, but they sit under me, so I can overrule decisions that they make. But because I'm a woman sometimes, it can be contentious, right? So I would say the first thing that I would say is to seek to understand that person, know their personality, and if they don't want the feedback, they can do what they want to do with the feedback. But if the feedback has to be given, I would give it in a way that I feel like that I believe that person can take it. If they can't take it direct, it might be through examples. It might be through sharing a story or sharing an experience. You know, I had to mentor another manager, and I literally had to share with her that whole situation I was sharing with you all, where I was dragging that team, and they didn't respond well because that's what she was doing. She coming into to the company new, doing the same thing I was doing. I was like, look, this is how I handle it. You know what I mean? So sometimes, you know, showing them a softer side, not taking the approach like, hey, you got to do what I said. You know what I mean? Like, that sometimes. Does that answer your question? I think you had a question about Tori. Say it again. I didn't hear you. Contentious. That just means somebody that's like combative, that, you know, always want to have a problem. You know, drama. Just want to bring drama, keep bringing drama. Yeah. 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 I think you always have to be confident. Like, and be confident and also be humble. That was probably I think that was some of the words that was up there. I'm going to get this to you guys because I think it's a good reference point because it's just key words. Confidence and being humble, right? Because sometimes you think about confidence, you know, you think when confidence can be cockiness, right? We can't be that. I found that for me, being humble, just like I was saying with Brother Antonio, you know, sometimes you got to let them feel like they're leading the way because that might bring something out in them. But I think having confidence, being truthful, being resourceful. So if you don't have the answer, don't be afraid to admit that, right? That's part of being humble, right? You know what? I don't have that answer, but I'm going to get it for you. I know who do. The girl that I'm mentoring, she wanted to know about design. I don't know nothing about no design, but I know my girlfriend who's in design. I was like, hey, can you jump on this call with me with my mentee because she needed to know about design. And she was so grateful. Like, it was great. It was a great session. So humility, confidence, being truthful, and also being approachable. You know, you have to be approachable as a leader because you want your team to find that security in you. And I think my time is about running out, so let me get one more question.
Yeah, just to piggyback, kind of like on what we all were saying and stuff that I said, as it relates to a leader, you know, being able, willing to learn and to be in a position to learn. Because I'm sure that we all been in positions where we were
Yep.
We felt like that we could do a better job. And
Yep.
We felt like that they were doing a crazy job.
Yep.
And things like that. So, and we're not always right in those cases, but in some cases we are right where we could do things differently. It does make more sense to do it this way.
Yep.
As leaders, we have to be open to
Yes.
to those different
Absolutely.
to those
Absolutely.
different- not just think that our way is the way,
Absolutely.
and that's the only way.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And that's where that self-awareness, self-assessment comes in, because you have to allow your team to drive the results that you need, right? And if you are knocking their ideas, knocking them down with every idea, if you're like, nah, if you're not open, like Minister Donald said, if you're not open to what it is that they want to bring in, it may not be exact. Maybe you can use 1 and 3 and take out 2. But that's where leadership comes in. You know what? That's going to work. We're going to do this, but we're going to do it like this. I like that idea. And always reinforce it, right? Reinforce it. That really supports them when you're reinforcing ideas and things that they bring to the table, because you got to give them that same confidence that you too want to carry. All right? All right, but I'm going to get this slide to you guys so you have those words. Yeah, I'll get it to you. Yes, thank you. So I'm going to go through the rest of these really quick, because we already heard all of this, right? These are some of the 4 pillars that I live by even today. Like, there's a book called We're All in This Together that I read over COVID period, and that's what these pillars came from. Next slide, please. All right, so again, creating psychological safety. What is psychological safety? It's basically putting people in a space where they feel safe to say and be authentic to themselves. Say what they want to say and be authentic in who they are. And the importance of authenticity, as we know, like, you bring your whole self to work. You know, if you can't be authentic in who you are, you're really bringing a false representation of yourself. And you don't want to put people in that space, right? And then ask yourself daily, especially in difficult situations, how psychologically safe is your team? That's a good question. That's a good checkpoint. I think that's my last. Oh, I got one more. Okay, so these were part of the 4 pillars. So focus on inclusion and belonging. You know, pastor has a vision that he wants his ministry to be very diverse. And diverse doesn't really always mean race. It can mean social diversity. It can mean marital. You know, some people might be married, some people might be single. Relational diversity. It could be academic diversity. It can be financial diversity. And that's what we need to make sure that we're always doing too, creating a culture that's receptive to diversity. All right, next slide. I think that should be, oh gosh, how many slides I put? Again, embracing those sweaty palm conversations. I like this little thing that was in the book that I read. It said, divided together, united apart. You know what I mean? And what that's saying is that sometimes you can have a team, y'all can be a team, but y'all can still be divided, right? But it's okay to be together and be apart, because it goes back to what Minister Donald was saying. We all have ideas and things that we can bring into the environment. It doesn't have to be one way that we do things. And that is how we are united apart. And then having a growth mindset, you always want to try to get to the next level. Like, we as people, you know, as an individual, you should always be trying to figure out what your next move is. Like, I'm really getting ready to sign up for the marathon, the real marathon. I did the half last year, but I'm doing the full 26-mile marathon. Pray for Jesus. But thank you. But that's like challenging yourself with different things. Like, I don't think I can do it. I'm going to be honest with you, but I'm going to try. I'm going to go for it. I'm not going to let anything stop me. It's a goal. But that's the growth mindset, because what's going to happen when I complete it, because I'm going to complete it, when I complete it, it's going to let me know that there's not anything that I cannot do. You know what I mean? Because this is the only thing that I have not done that I feel like I'm afraid to do. But I'm going to do it just because I'm afraid. All right, and then effective feedback. So feedback is only effective if it creates these things, if it creates growth, if it creates a productive mindset, right? Feedback is not just you telling somebody what to do. Feedback is you telling them what you need to do and making sure that they have the resources and the tool to be effective with what it is that you're asking them to do. All right? And then this last one is care about and challenge each other. You know, you want to make sure that you position yourself as a leader to lead a championship team. I always want to win. That's one thing my team will tell you about me. Whenever our CEO comes to me and was like, okay, Anissa, we need you and your team to do this. We need you to pull it out. I'm all for it. Like, don't come to me with a challenge. That's the worst thing you can do, because I'm going to get it done, right? The importance of appreciation. Show people that you appreciate them. My team can do the smallest things. I don't wait until they do the big things to celebrate them. Like if I get a call from someone and they be like, oh, your team member was on this call and they added value, whatever they did, I'll call them up and be like, yo, good looking out. Thank you for representing. I appreciate you. You know what I mean? Or send them a quick email. I had one team member, I called her out in front of the team. This girl started crying. So Melissa, I shouldn't say her name. Anyway, so she didn't mind having feedback, but she wanted it in private. You know what I mean? So, and that's a good point. So praise publicly, right? And reprimand privately, right? Accountability. We have to be accountable as leaders. Whatever you say you're going to do, make sure you're going to do it. If you can't do it, come back with it. Like, literally, you would get challenged with that. I got challenged with that with a 5-year-old last weekend. He was like, Gotti, you said we was going to go get this toy. I was like, I sure did. And he was like, I'm angry. I'm angry. What you going to do about that, Gotti? I was like, Gotti got to do better with her time management, don't she? He was like, you do, Gotti, but it's okay. It's okay, Gotti. You made a mistake. And commitment. You have to be as committed as you want your team to be, right? And then grit. Like, I just bought this shirt that says Detroit Grit. Like, let me tell y'all something. This is just a little personal side note. It ain't no hustle like hustle in Detroit. I'm so serious. Like, when I first came here, people was like, you going to Detroit? Why you going to Detroit? I don't want to leave Detroit. I'm telling you, Detroit is dope. Like, if you don't know how to hustle, you need to come to Detroit. You're going to get your hustle. Everybody got to hustle. You know I got to get one. And then balance. Like, we talk about work-life balance, right? And then in this environment, you have to make sure you have balance. That's why we're so grateful that so many leaders and so many people are coming in. Because before it was 80%, it was 20% of the people doing 80% of the work. Now we can spread it out. And that's what you want to find in your team. So me personally, when I hire people, you know, my father taught me this. My father is an executive director with North Carolina A&T. And what he taught me is that you don't hire skill sets because those are things that are trainable, right? You hire personalities, right? Because those are the things that are going to be disruptive to the dynamics of your team. All right? All right. That's it. Thank you.
Just before we have Sister Lanisha come up, I just want to continue to shout out again to Dr. Martin. You ought to put your hands together because, listen, here at Greater Works, we have some people that have some awesome skill sets, but also great personalities that add to our team. And so Pastor and I are so grateful that we have people from all different walks of life, but also different backgrounds. And she's definitely skilled in her area as well, too. But then also, I just wanted to continue to put this in perspective and also with the great information that she shared here at Greater Works Ministry. So, of course, you know, the work is one part of it, but we're here taking all those same nuggets and bringing it here to what you're going to be doing and serving others here at Greater Works. Because one of the things is, yes, we sometimes can get, you know, a little bit more, have a different perspective when we're working at work, but still bringing those things here at the church. Yes, we are brothers and sisters in Christ, but we still have to get things done. So the same things that she was saying, you know, with the communication piece, so getting to know your team, making sure that we have to communicate. Hey, we have to be here at certain times, you know, for our services. We have to meet so everybody knows we're on the same page. All the different pieces she talked about. And also, you know, even when it comes to that, the very last slide, I was taking a look at it as well, too, was also to make sure that you show appreciation to people that you're working with, you know, telling them thank you so much for, you know, doing the sound. Thank you, you know what I'm saying? So the people that you're going to be working with, making sure you guys are doing that, and also commitment. So one of the things I want to also say with that piece with communication is that you guys will be also now leading that area. So, you know, oftentimes I'm sending out the text messages and things like that. Now, a lot of that you guys are going to do, that you're sending out to your people and say, hey, you know, can we rotate? Hey, who can be here to open up the door? Who can, you know, do these different areas that we're asking you all to do? But if you can't be there, somebody else has to do it, because we're expecting you all to, you know, kind of step up in that leadership. So just, again, putting in things in perspective, that all the awesome things that she was sharing is what are we going to do here at Greater Works to make sure we're running our church effectively. So now the other piece with communication is also what happens when communication, and don't act like you ain't been in a position here, even at church sometimes, because that's why I say it's not just at work, but here at church, we all are human, right? So the same way we're communicating and we want to make sure things are done properly, it's the same way we need to talk to our brothers and sisters in love, right? But how many know that sometimes it comes with conflict? So Sister Lanisha is going to come up and talk about the next part.
Okay. All right. So come on, Antonio and Juwan. They're gonna do a little acting for y'all on conflict resolution. Oh, I didn't know we was okay. Okay, so we'll do it right here so y'all can be able to. Okay.
I thought the wire was supposed to go over here.
No, last time we did it, we brought it around this way.
Why?
It worked better that way. I don't know why, but it worked better on this side.
Okay, well, we can hurry up and get this done. Seriously, I got time for this.
Well, we all got to get it done. I can't, about your time, I can't do nothing about your time. We got to get this done, y'all.
Okay, all right. Well, all right. Hand it over to me. Just hand it over to me. All right. Man. Bro. All right. Why is it not coming on? Why is it not coming on?
It's something you're not doing right.
Bro.
I just told you what to do. You're not doing it right.
Man, I'm saying. Man,
I don't know if you just can't understand it or what's going on.
well, I can't understand.
I don't see why. I told you got to bring it around this way and plug it in this way.
Okay, whatever. You know, let's look on YouTube.
Okay, yeah, definitely YouTube probably. That's probably the best thing to do.
You know what? All right. How's your day going?
It's going pretty good.
All right.
How your day going
It's
now?
going good, man. All right.
You know what?
That's what I got it wrong. I actually put it in the wrong hole.
Oh,
Yeah.
so maybe, let me show you how, like, we used to do it, and then
Okay.
I have you do it again after I do it.
All right. Sweet. Sweet.
So,
Sweet.
yeah, you just basically bring the cord around the back right here, and it goes into this port right here.
Okay. Okay. You know what? I do apologize.
Oh, yeah, no, I apologize, too. I probably was a little rude, too.
Thank you. That was great, y'all. Thank y'all so much. Okay, so that was just I think that was a great. Thank y'all. Y'all did so great. So you can play the video, and then I'll go into the slides. It's only 2 minutes. Okay. All right. So this is just a video. I think it's about 2 minutes, just strategies and a couple of little rules, like what they were just implementing or showing y'all, demonstrating. Um, Because sometimes it's better seen than just talking. Okay. And if it don't work, we can, yeah. Wait. Okay, so let me just piggyback off what Martin was just talking about. Recently, I have had to deal with conflict resolution in my role. I am a director of nursing, so I do have a lot of people, like almost 100 people that do report to me. I have 4 managers, like nurse managers under me, then they have CNAs. It's just like, it's different, like nurse assistants. that they still report to me. They don't go to them, but I would like for them to go to them, but they would, they come to me. So I have to be open. I can't be biased, and I have to be empathetic when they do come to me. And like you said, I have to see people for who they are and not just, just being stern. We're real people. We're not robots, and we can't, want other people to think and feel how we want to feel. So when you come to people, first be empathetic. You don't have to be soft, not being soft, but just still, you be stern, but be realistic as well. So I had a young lady, when I came to the facility, the regional directors, they asked me to come to this facility. They asked me to come with my own team. And I was like, I don't want to come with my own team. I would just want to come because if I do that, then they're going to be, oh, that's her friend, that's this and that. So I was like, I think I could get along with anybody wherever I go. So I go to this place, and I needed an assistant director. I asked this young lady, she'd been there for about 15 years. I asked her to be my assistant director. I say about 2 weeks, she thinks she's running me. So I was like, oh, she like, yeah, we gonna be on call 7 days on, 7 days off, and cause I just want to get my time out the way. And I'm like, well, other people probably don't want to do that, let them pick their weekend, and then, cause I'm not on, like you said, I'm not the one that's doing the footwork, but I still have to be involved. So I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. Right. So when I do things, I do it with my 4 managers, and we're all in there talking. And it just get heated because they have a rapport with each other already before I got there. So now I'm coming into a situation where I have to try to diffuse things, and that's really what conflict resolution is about. Just trying to do everything as a team, everybody come in together, give their ideas, what do you think? Because that's how she came up with the 7 days, because I asked everybody how they felt and what you think is a good, resolve for being on call, or who picks up, who's managing this day. And like you said, you try to drag people into your plan, and then they go, oh, she trying to make us do this. No, well, if it was, my thought process at the time was, if they asked me to come over here and you guys were in management before, that means that you wasn't doing it the right way. So let me do it the way I was, because they know my management skills. But it don't work that way. You can't just drag people into it. You have to test and trial and see if it work out. Everything how can I say this? Everything is not a defiant end all be all. So I'm trying to, I don't know if the slides gonna work. Can you just go to the slides? We don't need the video. Because I don't want to talk about me too much personally. I want to, So what is conflict resolution? Conflict resolution is a process of ending a dispute and reaching an agreement that satisfies all parties, since conflict is an essential part of being a human. Effective conflict resolution is not designed to avoid disagreements. So that's just like when they were here. They were having a conflict, but they came to a resolve. They kind of, hey, dude, you doing this and that. But he was like, let me figure out another way. And he apologized. And he took accountability. So, like I said, us working together, we don't know what happened to someone before they got here. So you want to be mindful of that. And then try to find the best resolve for it. Can you go to the next slide? And not to avoid it. So you was like, man, I was wrong, and you took accountability for it. So did you know that there are actual skills to conflict resolution? Conflict resolution skills are used to facilitate discussions, increase understanding, and control emotional responses. So, like Juwan was like, yeah, I did see you was feeling like this. Like sometimes you can keep that out, you can keep that little part out of there, but it was just being, he was being funny, but he was like, yeah, I could see you was having a messed up day. That's why you was acting like that. But just be, active listening, using I statements. Like he said, yeah, man, he took accountability. Emotional regulation, communication, being assertive, and apologizing. And they display all of that when they just did that. You can go to the next slide. So, active listening. Examples of active listening, be able to woosah. Even though a person may come to you telling you what your job is, like Donald said, I might can do your job better than you can do it. You don't know how much pressure is on that person in that leadership role until you get into it. Because a lot of times I thought, oh, I can do that. But then once I got to do it, I don't want to do it no more. Like being a parent, it's hard. It doesn't come with the book. So just stress management, managing emotions, articulation. Like Dr. Martin said, sometimes you have to come down to their level, but you don't meet them where they're at. You have to come down to it, but you don't meet them, so you don't go back and forth. Negotiation and decisiveness. So you could go to the next slide, because I have a lot of slides. That's why I'm not. So active listening. And I'm going to keep on referring back to what Juwan and Antonio did. He did take a time out to listen to Juwan when he said, okay, I'm going to go, this is what we do. I'm going to do it 2 times, and then maybe you can come back. Just giving examples as to, just listen. Sometimes you might not agree with it, but as a leader, you don't want anybody to feel little. You don't want them to feel like what they're saying is not appreciated, because believe it or not, it takes a village to actually do the smallest thing. And then when a person feel like that you are actively listening to them, they are easily to be able to help you. But if every time I come to you, you don't want to listen to what I'm saying, I'm going to be like, I don't even want to deal with you, So active listening is a very important attribute as to being a leader. He could go to the next slide. So using I statements. I statements are used to prevent blaming and unfair accusations when arguing. This is because each party may feel like the other has done something, but they cannot prove this is true. Instead of claiming that the other party acts or feels a certain way, instead, the party will approach their statement by speaking from their own experience. So, again, Juwan said, this is what we do here, and I'm going to show you, and then they come back, and it worked out. They got the speaker fixed. Right. And then he used the I statement, well, yeah, this is what we usually do, and I'm going to show you, and he was open to listen. He was open. So, can you go to I know, you're not paying attention. So, emotional regulation. Majority of the time, we are very emotional beings. We are very emotional beings. And just like now, I'm just saying, some people in here like, yeah, I hear that. Some of them like, girl, would you just, like, she like, I'm sleepy. I'm like, but that's a part of emotion. So it's just being understanding, being aware of what's going on, little things. Even when Pastor is, he's up here and we're in our phones. It give you a whole different aspect and emotion on what's being, when you're not paying attention, when you're not listening, when you're not being aware, and it's all type of senses of emotion. So staying calm, being empathetic, handling difficult personalities. Like I said, the young lady, once I got there, I thought she was a nice young lady when I first met her. But then 2 weeks later, she turned into someone else and told me what she was going to do. So I had to come at her, and I tried every day. And then she started avoiding me. So I had to come to her and say, hey, like, what's going on? Like, is this something that I'm doing? And it wasn't anything I was doing. It was that, and just being honest, before I got there, she wanted that position, but they said she was too green for the position. So now that I'm there, it's like, I've been a nurse longer than you, I'm older than you, and I've been a nurse as long as you've been born, and all. So everything came with emotion, so I had to try to step back, and you don't use your leadership to make anyone feel any type of way either. Like, well, yeah, you older than me, you've been a nurse longer than me, but I got the position, so I didn't do that. I just said, hey, we're a team. And when we're at work, we're married to this, and in order for us to get the job done, we have to work as a team. We have to leave everything at home. But is there anything that I can help you with to make us get forward and pass this little hurdle? And yes.
Members said not compatible.
Okay. But that's really it. Just being empathetic, and then handling difficult personalities, because that is what we're really going to be dealing with, because everybody have a different personality. And with women, I don't really know how it is with men, but with women, I don't know how it is with men. I can't attest to it. But with women, we are very emotional. And we have the best, we have the best interest, but it just come off a different way. It come off a different way. And that's why I do like working with men better sometimes, because of, the emotional part of it. But sometimes they can be a little bit emotionalist. So like with men, you have to have some urgency because you lack that kind of emotional aspect of it. So you still you can't be like, I don't care, do it, man, get it done. You can't be like that. You still have to get the job done. So you still gotta have a little urgency if you don't have the emotional aspect of it. So. Yes, sincerity. So that was another thing. If you don't feel like, if you just doing this because pastor asked you to do it, don't do it, because your heart won't be into it. So, I mean, we know that, yeah, that's my boy and all that. Just if you're not here to be sincere about it, don't do it. And if you're not gonna get 100%. No. No. So what I did was initially how I got there, I was at another facility. And the regional directors asked me to come to this building. So I was trying to seek her, ask her, I don't want her to think that I can't handle this. Right. So I didn't want to reach out to her. So I asked the administrator there, and I asked the HR, I want to have a meeting with them. Could you just sit in with me? Right. And because I don't feel right. It was something that I just didn't feel right about. So I was like, can you sit in this? Because you never want to do something by yourself because it's your word against theirs. And it could be a whole, I could think that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but they, oh yeah, we don't like her. We going to get her up out of here, So you always want somebody to sit in. That could be, a mediator. You could ask us to come and sit in and come to a meeting. Like when we have our weekly meetings or our monthly meetings and you feel a certain way, you can have someone sit in the meeting just to hear, but you run it as a leader. You run the meeting, but you have someone sitting there just to see what's going on. So I had her sit in, and then I asked everybody, how you feel? I let them go. Then I piggyback, okay, that's cool. We're going to use everything what y'all said, and I'm going to take that into account, then I'm going to write it down, come with a plan, then follow up with y'all later on this week. So that's what I did. and then I still call my regional. Just to let her know so they won't be talking about me and telling her what happened. Right, right. But yes. Document, yes, yes we do. Okay, you can play the video.
Thank you. Members. Thank you. Take care. Resolving conflict. In any decision-making process, there is potential for conflict to develop. People may find it difficult to work together because they have different values and interests, or because their personalities and attitudes are not compatible. Conflict that is not properly handled can have a negative effect on council activities. It can reduce productivity and affect the morale and confidence of council members. However, well-managed conflict can help to clarify issues. It can create new opportunities for discussion and strengthen relationships among members. Here is a helpful list. Number 1, acknowledge that there is a problem. Clarify and clearly state the concerns, needs, and interests of the people involved in the dispute. Emphasize the ground rules. Adopt a positive tone and a problem-solving attitude. Set ground rules that will help maintain a courteous, respectful environment for discussion. Some of these ground rules could be no interruptions, respect each person's opinion, address the issue and not the person, or each member is encouraged to contribute. Number 3, look for areas of agreement. Start by helping members find common ground. Identify areas of agreement before addressing the differences. Number 4, affirm the value of different opinions. Discuss the fact that different opinions are natural in a group. Help members separate the opinion from the person holding the opinion, and do not allow personal attacks. Focus on the problem, not the person. Number 5, listen to everyone's point of view. Let council members express their opinions and perspectives. People will be more willing to discuss alternatives if you acknowledge and legitimize their right to hold particular points of view, even if you don't agree with them. Number 6, define the conflict early. Make sure you understand the issue causing the conflict and that you are focusing on the right problem. Try to identify any assumptions, expectations, misinformation, or lack of information that may be influencing members' opinions. Many conflicts can be resolved by improving communication and explaining issues carefully. Number 7, create solutions. Identify a range of options for solving the problem. Invite others in the group to help resolve the conflict. List the advantages and disadvantages of each option. And finally, number 8, choose a solution. Choose the best solution and follow up to make sure that it is carried out. We hope that this list has been helpful in how to resolve conflict among council members. Thank you. Take care.
Any questions about the? Hello? Okay. Okay. Yes. 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 Those assumptions. And early on, and it said to address things early on. So, like I said, if you don't even feel comfortable with going to that person, just you and them, pull Pastor in, pull Dr. Martin, pull Elder Kristen in, and have someone there so that they could alleviate the tension, because some people can go to each other and, do you got a problem with me? Like, grown people do this in church. They feel that way. I have heard people say these things. They don't like me, and I'm like, how you know that person don't like you? Because some people have a resting face. I do, and it just that does not mean that I have an issue with you. I'm probably just, we all just look, and we look different. Our face rests differently, so it doesn't mean that I have an issue. Some people don't even know each other, and they have a assumption. So if we're working together, that's why you build a rapport, to get to know these people and to understand them, get to know them personally. Hey, how your kids doing? Not in, whatever. So try to get to know them. That's where we get to effective communication. Some of the examples are verbal and nonverbal. When I was talking about the resting face, or people just, being laxed, or just come in with their different body language, that's a nonverbal communication. The way that they articulate, the persuasion. So being a leader, you have to be able to have it sound like manipulation, but persuasion. Hey man, that comes with cheering them on and saying, well, you do, you good at this. Like, we know that Jawan is good at games, so that makes him a good fit with videography or whatever. So that builds him up. When you give them something to build on, that'll make them a better person to be able to work with. So also, the foundation of conflict resolution is very healthy. Not only does clear and proper communication help resolve personal and also professional problems, but it can also prevent similar situations from happening in the future. So that's what, on the video, when it's saying attack these things early on, soon as you see something, address it right here and now, in real time. So you can go to the next slide. Being assertive. Although it may seem counterproductive, reasonable levels of assertiveness can be beneficial when performed calmly. This is because assertiveness pushes people to address their feelings and voice their expectations of other party, rather than avoiding conflict altogether. So decisiveness, self-control, voicing and accepting options, fairness, and management. So assertiveness, like we just talked about, just being assertive and to that person. Everybody is different. Follow-up is a big thing. So when you give someone a task, you know which each person have, this is where the assertiveness come in at. You know each person, when you're being assertive, you know their qualities. So you give different people tasks based off of what you asserted from them. The follow-up with the assertiveness is, hey, y'all do this. They fixed the thing together. I didn't have to watch them do this. I came back. They could either tell me they did it, or I go check in on it. Just being assertive of the things the tasks that you gave the people that you are leading, you want to be assertive enough to know that it's working, because if Pastor or Elder Kristen come to you and say, hey, did this happen? Oh yeah, let me go check on that. It probably was done and it probably wasn't, so you have to have that assertiveness to be a leader. Yes. Take it for, yep. So that's a big thing with being assertive. When you doing that follow-up, you want to make sure that you are putting eyes on what is really supposed to be done. That's taking accountability for it. So, and if they do ask you, hey, did this happen, blah, blah, blah? Yeah, it did. And you can have a answer, the correct answer. So apologizing Antonio apologized after they had, and that's a big thing. That's accountability. That's a part of accountability. When necessary, the final step to an effective conflict resolution process is knowing when to apologize. It's important to note that successful conflict resolution will bring both of the involved parties to fully understand what they've done and why an apology is needed, rather than simply going through the emotions to end the conflict. So that means, they fixed it, but they did it with an attitude. But the ultimate goal is to get through and get these jobs, just get the task done. If you get the task done without all of the animosity and the conflict and not addressing it, you're still mad, and then you go and talk off to the corner and say, yeah, we did that, but he didn't know what he was doing. But he apologized, and then they both addressed it while they were still working. So apologizing and taking accountability and all of that, it goes hand in hand. I know, it's yes. So if a person feel that way, that's when I say you bring someone. So what makes them wrong? What if they wasn't wrong, but they was wrong in your eyes? Exactly. But not to do that, it's just to come to a resolve. So it's not to say who's wrong and who's right. It's just to come to a resolve so we can get this and let's hash this out. Yep. Yep. Get this. Yep. Yep. Not the person.
Sometimes we got principles and standards and things that we stand on, but it says right there that you're wrong because you're going against what the performance standard
Right.
is. So yeah, you don't have to go back and forth.
We don't have to go back and forth.
The framework of
What needs to be done. Yep.
Is it good to continue working with that individual to build that rapport?
I think so. Because if you are in a space, we're not going nowhere. We're trying to build together, right? So why not get over it? If this your brother in Christ, then why wouldn't you try to get a relationship with them? That's just like a marriage. If you're not going to always like that person, but you're going to try to figure out a resolve, right? So that's the same thing when you're working with someone.
Because I know a lot of times, especially in management, individuals say, I don't like working with this person. So
And that's fine.
But
you're gonna do
that they're good at what they do, and you want to keep them
Right.
that team together.
So sometimes it's self-reflection because you could say you don't want to work with them and they may feel the same way about you. So try to see I had to step back, and that's when I realized that when you said dragging someone into something, I had to realize that I came in here changing all of these things around because before I got there, the regional told me all of these problems are wrong. So my goal was to come in here and fix all of these problems. But I did it all in one lump sum when I should have just started from what was the priority. Right. Instead of trying to come in and fix everything. Now it's looking like she trying to have us doing all this. It started conflict. Yeah. Because when I came in, it seemed like I was just doing too much. And I was. When I self-reflected, because I thought, what if I was them on the flip side? Right. So always be empathetic as to if you were that person, if you was the person on the cameras and they do this, you was like, look, hold on. But then you have to think about if you were that person doing what you're expecting them to do. So to wrap it up, the benefits of conflict resolution is to building relationships. Like you said, should I just go somewhere else, or I probably shouldn't work with them anymore? No, you want to build a rapport with them. Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, like you said, it may not be that person. It really could be you. Yeah. And I feel like when we take the easy route to just step away from the situation, we're really not challenging ourselves. No, we're not. Ooh. Ooh.
This is so good. This is
Okay, go. Go.
All right, so
time's up, stop.
this is the kingdom, right? You know, and people like in the kingdom, our brothers and sisters. So how much does it basically just boil down to discernment, or when we be taking a lot of principles and values from corporate and finance and kingdom? Is
It
that
all
really
go
a
hand in
crossover,
hand.
right?
I think it all goes hand in hand because, like I said, it's both personal and business. They still have this to run because everything is not like he's just coming in here and just coming talking. The lights need to be on. Everything needs to be ran. The behind the scenes things it's a business. So you do have to bring that corporate aspect to it to say, hey, this is how we're going to do things because we all coming from work. We all still tired and still, look, I got this to do. You still got things to run when you leave church. It's other things that you have to do. So you still want to have that mindset. This is what I need to do when I come here because they're counting on you to do what is needed to be done. So it's ran like a business. Yes, the foundation. Mm-hmm. Also, also, I have worked in um, a Catholic facility. I have worked in, what's the rabbi? Jewish. I have worked in a Jewish community. And I'm going to tell you about that was a conflict with the rabbi. We cannot have kosher food. I mean, if it's not kosher, we cannot have it in the facility, out. Like it has to be in the lunchroom back in the where the work, yes. So I think I could bring my food on the floor. I put it in the refrigerator off of the unit, but he was doing his rounds, a rabbi, found my food and threw it in the garbage. And I was like, I wasn't supposed to have it. Like, I could have got mad because I had just got that food from Jay Alexander. And he threw my food in the garbage. But that was the rule because it's ran like it's a Jewish community. I worked in a Jewish community, but it was a nursing facility, a Heartland facility, but I couldn't do it. So I had to go off of everything is ran the way it's ran, and you just have to go by the principles of what their expectation is. Okay.
Kind of with that being said, I guess it's probably a question for Pastor First Lady. Because I know that, like you being a head instructor so long, with conflict resolution when it comes to the classroom, we had these 6 steps to conflict resolution. The 6 steps that we were supposed to take when children have conflict. I was saying that, like, within the church, that we come up with something like, I know you mentioned, like, when men, we had the altercation, the verbal altercation. Like, what happens next? Like, what's the steps?
So I did have, those was the pictures that I was trying to get on there with it had 5 steps of conflict resolution for the church. But if y'all come up with something, I could not get the pictures to come up on there, so. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Just a heads up,
Okay, so goal achievement. Ongoing conflict situations may stand in the way of completing goals. So that's what, piggybacking off of what you were saying about, should I just not, address it? No, you want to address it because there is an ultimate goal, and that's to get the job done. So that conflict resolution would definitely stand in the way of getting that job efficiently done. And enhancing commitment. One of the most important elements in conflict resolution is choosing to tackle problems as a team rather than attacking each other. The technique is a wise way to enhance each party's commitment to this process and avoid greater feelings of defensiveness. So, if you're being defensive all the time, like some people they just like that. And like Dr. Martin said, I had to pray for this person. Sometimes that's all they need is a prayer. And what better way? For real. And this is the place for them to be. And you don't want them to have have something that's going to stand in the way of getting God's work done. So you want to, if you see something in someone, pray for them. Sometimes you don't even have to say anything to them. You could just pray for them and then just get over it that way. And sometimes everything don't need to be addressed, but when you feel that it needs to be addressed, address it in a way of coming to them as a brother and not attacking, like just being, just attacking people. You go to the next one. So what does the Bible say about conflict? Matthew chapter 18, verses 15 and 16. It instructs members to settle their differences privately with each other. And if this fails, they are to seek help in resolving the dispute. Moreover, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he hears you, you have gained your brother. And I'm just going to end with that. And that means no gossiping about people. Just go to that person and say what it is and keep on moving because we are a family. And that's the whole thing of being leaders, is being able to really lead, not to, just say, oh yeah, I'm the leader over at Greater Works, and no, be a great leader, be an example, just be a great person overall, and I love y'all. All right, bye.
Listen, she brought her skill set and then she came at the end as Minister Lanisha. Right, that's it. That was awesome. And so much great information. Definitely, like I said, we have some great people that are here in the room. Also, Sister Tasha as well, too, in her background. She's going to be kind of supporting later on as well, too. But definitely, we appreciate everything that you guys are bringing to the plate, and definitely these things that we're talking about, we can apply right to the church. And, of course, just making sure that the biggest thing, as we talked about before, is leading with the fruits of the Spirit: gentleness, meekness, kindness, long-suffering, patience. And she said a key thing is praying for people, because when people come through these doors, we do come with our different backgrounds. We do come from work. We do come from different things that we're dealing with. And when you come in here, this is a place, a house of prayer. It's a house of love. And some people come, everybody not saved too. When people come through the door, so you have to know who you're working with. But then, too, you guys are leaders, and you're going to be working with leaders who are going to be members. And so the people that are going to be joining in, they're volunteering their time, except for a couple of people that, of course, are hired in as far as like our musicians. Most of us are servants and not getting paid, right? So we want to ensure that our volunteers and those we're working with, they feel the love, they feel the appreciation. But when there is things that do happen, we want to make sure we do things in excellence and in love as well, too. So just to kind of recap, and I'm going to follow up with this last part, and we'll be done hopefully by 12:30. So we appreciate you guys' time and just getting this. This is really good for me as well, too. So, but getting to know again your individuals that you'll be working with, and the biggest thing we said is not to assume. So if you can't, say anything about a person if you don't know them. So really get to know that person, find opportunities. You want to, go out with your team or, whoever you guys will work with, or sit after church and go out to eat or something, whatever you guys will decide to do, but get to know the people that you're working with. The other thing we also talked about, of course, was communication. I can also say for myself with that piece with being empathetic. When I first came into my role as an assistant principal, I already knew my team had a lot of baggage. So I had to rebuild, restructure, and the culture piece was really big for my wing. And, one of the things that was feedback for me is because, one, getting the task done, making sure things get done, because, culture is one, but I still have to get the job done and things have to be done. And so, some of the people, they gave me feedback and said, hey, we know you want to get the things done, but, can you just take a moment and just get to know me? I was like, you know what, I can. And so I had to take that, as well, too. And it's funny, even in the church, sometimes we're coming in because we got to get on before 11 o'clock. We got to get going, But sometimes I've learned, and shout out to Minister Ever, he was like, at one point he said, I got it. You don't have to do every single thing. And so being able to know we have help, then I can kind of slow down a little bit. And then, Brother Keith, I was like, let me pause for a second. How you doing? Right? And so just getting to know people, but that big thing is also being empathetic with our communication. And it happens because sometimes we're in work mode. I'm like, shoot, no, I'm here. And then also translate to my job as well, too. So that was one area that I did work on it, and God, has blessed where my culture this year is a lot better with our team. And, sometimes you do have to weed people out that don't want to be a part of the team and do what we're trying to do to grow in love and in excellence. But moving forward, that even with the conflict in the church, I would want to say the other thing from the nuggets that she shared is also being able to work it out, you being a team leader. She said, if this is a role that you're going to support us with, we appreciate you being a role, but I want you to take that accountability piece with, you can work it out with your people that you're working with. So before it gets to us, make sure you guys are working together. See what you can do to kind of make sure that gets done first, and then we can go to the next steps after that. And then seeking to understand with their communication, so that's a big. And then, of course, with that also goes into accountability. So you can go to the next slide. So one of the things with accountability is, number one, a pastor has put you all as the men, of course, in the church to also take on these department roles in your positions. But one of the things, too, is also it is a kind of a trial position. So because we want to see, can you be effective in this area? Maybe it's not a best role for your best fit. Maybe you could be better in another place. But right now, we have the different areas that we would love for you to participate in and be team leaders over. And so all these different things we're asking is going to be a part of that. So just seeing, how effective you can be able to be with that. So with that also, too, is that, yes, you are the men in those roles, but ladies are going to be working with you. So you're going to have a lot more people working with you. And then with that, though, too, is also the accountability piece. So now that you're in that position, you're in that role, but now how am I accountable? So the one thing I definitely want to know is I'm accountable to God. Everybody say I'm accountable to God. Because at the end of the day, she said, I think either Dr. Marta, either Sister Lanisha, was that, I'm a representative of God at my job and also here as well, too. So even though I'm in that different position, I have to make sure that, number one, I'm accountable to God. I have to be an example. So Matthew 25:21 says, well done, thy good and faithful servant. When I stand before God, I have to be the representation of me. And my mother's not standing there. The person I got a conflict with, they did this. Nope, it's going to be you, what you said. And even the word says whatever words coming out of your mouth, eating idle words. All those things are going to be accounted for. So it's what we're doing. We have to be accountable. And also, I think was said also earlier, too, is our self-reflection. The Word of God says, work out your own soul salvation with fear and trembling. So what are you doing to make sure that you're doing what God has called you to do? 1 Samuel 15:22 also says, obedience is better than sacrifice. So do what God has called you to do so you can be effective, especially in church as well, too. So accountable also to pastors and our elders. So we have, and I did send you all the link as well, too. So with the different positions and different things of that nature now, pastor, of course, is the lead pastor. I will be assisting him, of course, as an elder now, and then moving into the new year, it'll be moving into pastor role as well, too. So, and I don't take that lightly, so because it gets, it's more accountability, right? So, and then of course, shout out to Minister Edward, who will be moving into the eldership position as well too. But I did want to speak on that because even biblically it says, of course, in Romans 13:7, to give to everyone what you owe them. If you owe them taxes, pay taxes. This is the NIV version. If it's revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honor, then honor. So we do want to honor those people who are in leadership. And so although he's my husband, he's my pastor. So I do reverence him and respect him as, my leader. And so, there's things that sometimes he has to correct me on or help me, to make sure in leadership. So just ensuring that we're making sure we're giving honor to those people who are in those positions. Also, as an elder, too, an elder is one that also supports the pastor. And so when the pastor is not available or not there, you also want to ensure that you're also reverencing or honor the elder, because the elder is the other person that also stands in. Also, I apologize, Elder Hicks, who's in the back as well, too. So when you hear from certain leaders, so at the end of the day, if there's certain things going on, the final word is the final word from our what? Pastor. So if he says this is it, this is what it is. And if he gives us the communication, it'll go to, of course, the elders and then go from there. And, of course, we share the information with you all. So whatever it is, that's going to be the final word, of course, from that leadership accountability. And I just say it as far as the honor piece because, we want to continue to reverence, in the house of God, those individuals who are in those leadership roles. The last piece also, too, is accountability to each other. So although, pastor, elder, we may have titles, right? But at the same time, we're still servants. So we do want to make sure that Philippians 2:3 says, let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than themselves. So what's been said is I'm still a part of the team. Yes, I have a certain role. I'm in leadership. But I want to work with you. I'm not so high up that I can't come down and to sit, in the back row. I can't. I'm definitely going to be cleaning the bathrooms. This is a part of our team building. We're here to work together as a church, but also in leadership, just knowing that I'm not so high up that I can't come and serve and can come and help. So number one, again, being accountable to God. Number two, being accountable to our leaders, but then also accountable to each other. So you guys are team leaders. But if you see another team leader that's out of pocket or like, hey, remember we talked about like you a leader too. So we also have to be accountable to each other. And so that's why we are having these meetings together so we can have an opportunity to work together, to grow and to learn. And so again, even in your areas of position, just knowing that, this is the leadership position that you're in. But, sometimes, and we can say it in church, sometimes people take heart to that position and that title. This is my role. This is my position. But we don't do that here at Great Works Ministry. And so I'm pretty sure some of them have, you've been in those positions or understood those situations where some people, I've been in this role since, my mother was over the church. Okay, that was a long time ago, but this may not be the same position we want you to stay in. We have another position for you, another place. So definitely just knowing that, whatever areas that God has placed you in and the pastor has placed you in, you want to do it effectively. But if there is a change, he's going to be led by God to be able to, and you said something about discernment, right? Because although we are here at church, we also move by the Spirit. So we do we want to be led by God in what we are doing so we can be leading effectively and making sure people are in the positions that they can be in to be effective. And that's the goal for that as well, too. You can go to the next slide for me. So again, what are you accountable for? So one, of course, we talked about building rapport. So we are going to do a Sunday or a Thursday. We're going to kind of have everybody who wants to volunteer. We knew for the most part have some people that are already supporting and helping in different places, but now it's going to be more strategic where we have a lot of other new families. Woo, 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 woo. Not a lot of new families and new people that are coming in, and so giving them the opportunity to participate. So we're going to have our opportunity. We say, here are the different areas we need support in and help, and then you guys will be the go-to people. And so when they come to you, you, of course, will then make sure that you build the rapport, get to know who they are, get their phone numbers, making sure we have all those things accountable for, and then have those meetings bi-weekly, monthly, so we can make sure that we're checking in with you all to see how those things are going. Again, like this will be strategic how we're doing it as well. And then, of course, ensuring that the team that you're working with completes all the tasks for the functions of the church and worship services. So as you know, of course, we have the different areas And so, like Sister Alicia said earlier, when it comes to certain things that need to be done, if they're not done, then I'm going to come back and say, hey, can you seek to understand? Can you tell me, is this, is it going to be done, or when's the time that's going to happen? Because all these things play a part. And then right now, as Pastor also said too, we have the vision that, of course, in the back. And we are here where we are, but we are going to be what? Growing and expanding. So the foundation that we're doing here, as you know, with even other churches, as you grow, time is what? Money, right? You're on TV, or you're on, you have different other things that come about with those things that as you're a growing ministry. So we definitely want to make sure that you ensure that, the different things that have to be done, we can get it done effectively. The other piece, of course, is, and I don't see it on the screen, of course, it's just making sure that with timeliness and also with making sure that you're being a leader in itself, being a role model as a leader. There we go. And so definitely one of the things I want to say is, if you're a leader, you should be the first that's already here, right? So we have to lead by example. That was the phrase I was trying to sound on the screen. So everybody say, lead by example. So again, like we said kind of early on, yes, there are times that, things happen. Pastor and I can't say Pastor and I have been here every single day, on time, all the time. That's, things happen, right? But at the end of the day, we want to make sure we are leading by example. So, if nobody's on the prayer call, we're going to be on a prayer call. If nobody's here at the church, it doesn't matter. We're going to be here at the church. Unless something happens with the weather or things of that nature, we're going to be here. And so we appreciate you all being able to assist us in the different areas so we can make sure things are done effectively, efficiently, and making sure we do things in excellence. So for me, just making sure that when it comes to accountability also, we'll be doing rotations. So if you have at least 3-4 people, where's Brother Keith at? So if you have rotations right for open of the church, he has the communication like, hey, I'm going to be opening up, or hey, I can't make it. So it's, the accountability for the people you're working with, just making sure that somebody is in place. That's the biggest thing for us. Because when we come in, Pastor has his mind ready to give the words on tomorrow morning, right? Ready to come in and give the word, and I have to be prepared to myself to come in and to lead worship, right? So when things are out of place, it does get frustrating, right? Dr. Martin knows when sound is not working, mics are not working, it gets frustrating to me. But again, being a leader, I can't allow myself to break down, and then that shifts the atmosphere of the church, right? You can tell something wrong with her because her body language and some of y'all already know, like, what's going on, so I need stuff to be done. But then you got to think, though, people online, if the live stream is not working, the sound is not working, people online are going to tell us, too. We have people that are watching, not just in Detroit, but all over. So when somebody's not here to run the sound, when people, nobody's in place, that means we're starting what? Later, right? So we have to be in place, and we have to be accountable to each other. And so, I don't like to do that, like, hey, you're on your way, saying. So I have to do my part, because it's a trickle down effect, right? And so it impacts us, and then it impacts everybody else. And so again, just that accountability piece, we appreciate everything that you all are doing, and we're so excited for you all serving. And so we're looking forward to continuing to build our team to move forward in this thing that we're doing with Greater Works Ministry. You can go to the next one. So the last thing is teamwork. And of course, we're going to be working together as a team. So we will be connecting back with you again for our next team leaders meeting. Like I said, prior to, we're going to talk about you guys getting with your teams that you're going to have, who is going to be volunteering with you. The goal is to also rotate. One of the things that we talked about, now that we're excited to have some people with us, is it doesn't all have to fall on you, right? So what I've learned as a team leader is to delegate. So if I know I'm with my team, I can't be here every day, all day, right? So at some point, being able to rotate with your team and just making sure they're accountable for being in place and be able to support, because we all have families, we have jobs. Sometimes we go out of town, let Pastor and us be able to go out of town, right? So if we're going out of town, we want everybody to be what? Be in place, right? So us having to work together as a team is our key and our goal. We are done for today. That's pretty much the last thing I wanted to share. Did anybody have any questions or thoughts, concerns about accountability and moving forward? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mhm. So great question. So one, depending on who the team, so now we're shifting it to the team leads, right? So for right now, of course, with the ministers and elders, it's usually myself and Elder Hicks. Eventually, I'm going to move out of the way, so that team lead is going to be able to take over that. And so, of course, whoever you're running for your area, you are going to now be that person. So you're the team lead. So what area, what area you over again? Oh, Oh, okay. Great job. I mean, great question. I apologize. So yes, you can let myself know. Elder Hicks will be that person for now as well too, and then eventually, of course, Elder Edward will also be in that position as well too. So if it's something like that, so what I would do though too is still, if you can't do it, say, hey, but I got somebody else already, assigned. That helps us because I don't have to go back and say take on your role and put somebody else in place. And you say, yes, please. Right. Correct. Yes, that makes a difference. That shows great leadership, skills that you already got everything in place, and you just want to let us know that you can't make it. And I know Dr. Martin does really good too. If she's, hey, I'm gonna be out of town, I can't make it. I just want to let you guys know, but I already have some things in place, and we're all set. So yes, great question. Anybody else have any questions, thoughts, concerns, or also comments about our presentation today as well too? Anybody else? All right, so we are going to reconvene. Like I said, we want to do between now and next month have our volunteer day. We're going to have people to sign up. We are going to come back together again as team leaders, so we can see the next steps as far as the people you have on your team, and then moving from there. We're also going to do the 2.0 with conflict resolution, because we know the more people we have, sometimes it can be more problems. Say more money, more what? Don't act like y'all been saved. Come on, all your life. More money, more problems. So we are going to have another opportunity to kind of talk about that, and we will make sure we follow up with those, the piece that Pastor was talking about too, with conflict as well too. So outside of that, that's all the things we wanted to share on today. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Yes, we are going. Yep, we are going to do that. This will be for, and also I did share the link. If you guys should have looked in your text message, did you get the link? It is a link that I share with everybody. So the different areas that we have again are security and armor bearer. That's Brother Keith. Shout out to him and Brandon. Greetings and ushers and hospitality. Deacon Burrell kind of work with that for now, and Sister Tanisha. Information station, bookstores, Elando, Brother Cookie. Cleaning, Minister Lightfoot, Sister Tanisha. We know Minister Lightfoot had to step out for a second. And then sound engineer, so Brother Kyle Jawan is in the back. He's going to be here tomorrow morning. Video VMix, Brother Real, Sister Michelle, she'll be here. House manager is Brother Rashard, Sister Kyra. They couldn't make it today, so keep them in your prayers. They had a funeral to attend. Christian education, Brother Tony and Kayla, Tori and Kayla. Media ministry, Brother Antonio. Where are you? Brother Antonio, Sister Yolanda. Altar ministry, Minister Donald, and I'll be working with him as well too for now. And then finances, Elder Hicks and Dr. Martin. And at the bottom, of course, you can see, as we talked about, the different places where everybody is, and the different men that are assisting in these different areas as well too. Okay. You said what? So let me tell you what I did. So you have to actually, I start to pin my groups, because I have one for work, I got one for church, I got, so yeah. So I'm trying to keep it in one where it's everybody all the same, so depending on how you can do it on your phone. But anybody else have any other questions, concerns, or comments? Okay. All right, can I have everybody to stand? We're going to close out in prayer. I'm going to actually have Brother Antonio, come on up. You can close out in prayer real quick. Team lead, minister. And so tomorrow, let me ask a question. So tomorrow morning, who can tell me what time, if you're a leader, what time you should be here? 10:30. Ministers and elders, we're here at 10:30, especially if we're on the sound and everything like that. We want to make sure you're here no later than 10:30 to set up. Okay, go ahead.
May we all bow our heads. Father God, I thank you for bringing us to this place, oh God, back to your house of worship, where we get to understand the importance of leadership, but leading in the house of the Lord, but also leading in our workplace. Bless our traveling mercy and grace. Give us traveling mercy and grace as we depart from here. As we come back tomorrow on fire for you, I ask for your spirit just to rest upon us and continue to bless our families and keep the Greater Works family under your wing and those that are connected. In Jesus' mighty name I pray, amen. Bless you.